I don't have the best setup here, but I decided to make videos while I'm making jewelry because I have fibromyalgia and a few other disorders, and I struggle, but I still do these different crafts, and one of them is making jewelry. And I made this earlier, and what this is I make these bead sections with clasp at either end to go on my medical alert bracelet that I put jump rings at the end, and then I can just clasp the two sides onto, because I like to change them out with what I'm wearing. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to be restringing, which I just had to look at a picture and figure out that I was doing it wrong, because this one was already made before, but it was made on old line that had too much stretch and just kept stretching. And obviously must have been one of the first ones I did, because there's this big extra loop at the end for some reason before the crimp bead. And you will notice I struggle with words and talking. It's part of the fibromyalgia, and I'm in pain right now. Majority of my back's really acting up in spasms, and I probably should have went and sat on my recliner on the heating pad like, I don't know, over an hour ago. But I have all these ideas lined up of what I want to do, and it'll bother me if I go and sit down and give up. So I'm being stubborn. So now I figured out what the pattern on this was. It's one of these little, I'm just using my iPhone, and obviously I've never done this before. This one's a little metal silver rose, and that one's going on first. And what's gonna be is the other end of this, where I haven't cut it at all, is actually the other end of the bracelet. You will see at the end what I do. And then it was, these are the ones I was struggling with. Those super itty bitty tiny beads. Yeah, those tiny ones. What made me think of using these? I don't know, because I can't use these too well. I am gonna buy myself a needle for beading. Yeah, I actually got it on first try. That's shocking. Yeah, it's on. Yeah, well, there's plenty of them on here. I'm sure I'm not gonna get all of them on. And then there was these little silver beads. Oh. This is something I just did recently. It's a lid from something. I started saving some lids, because then I could put the beads in them when I'm working. I'm also working on, my husband got me these trays that kind of look like lunch trays from school. And the one I'm working on top of right now has grippy stuff I hot glued onto it. Don't mind that I cannot angle the camera any different. I don't have anything like that. If I keep making these, I will buy a stand. And then it was one of those little silver ones, and now another one of those really super tiny ones, which are dark blue, but they have like a iridescent, or whatever that would be called, and it gives off a little bit of different colors with the lighting. Yeah, let's see. I don't know how I did this, and I dropped it. That would be why I'm working on top of this. I don't know how I'm doing it. This is my point. I'm not okay, but I'm doing it. So that's why I'm making these videos. I had at least 5 friends of mine tell me, oh, I'd never be able to do that because my hands don't work. Well, isn't it quite obvious my hands don't work? My hands also cramp up. There might be a point where I hit a certain amount of pain and have to stop. But until then, I'm still trying. I know I put that on there. There it is. So that's pretty much the pattern is like that. Don't mind me. I did not do my hair. Absolutely did not put makeup on. That hardly ever happens. We start over with the big rose one. Most of my stuff is not those super tiny beads. Thank goodness. And one of those super tiny ones now. I was just looking and gathering everything that I've made since Christmas, because I got a lot more supplies for Christmas, and I was shocked. This is all the stuff I've made since Christmas. And that was just doing a little bit each day, I guess. Not even every day. And I've been trying to do different things, learning some new things. I learned how to do the slip knots for bracelets. That was a hand twitch. Almost threw the lid. Of course, they're all tangled. I learned this one recently. This is different than I remember. But anyway. Well, one of these slides, oh, there we go. Slides there and there. This one was, oh, I see. That was the side that slid. This one was a lot easier to do than some of them. But I just learned that one recently. I'm real proud of myself because I learned it. I don't do too good learning things either. And here's one of the older ones. It's like a typical one that you're used to seeing. But this one I find hard. I end up like having a real hard time holding it after you do the wrapping part and before the next step, and that other kind was much easier. I also just started making stuff with resin. I got a little kit. Seeing everything's tangling in that box. I might have to separate things into little baggies or something. Let's see, how does this go? There we go. I made this out of resin. And then I made this to go on top of it because I thought it was just a little too plain the way it was. That's my new thing that I've been experimenting with. I just made some last night. I just had a hand twitch and that almost went completely flying. Caught it. I made this. This one. And this starfish, which he might be interesting to figure out what I'm going to do because I'm not so sure I can drill a hole in him. And I'm not too good at wire wrapping. It usually looks really horrible when I do it. This one I'm going to drill a hole in. But I really like it. This one I'll probably end up keeping for me. I really like it. I just ordered these really tiny sequins. Because I didn't really have anything to put in them. And then I just got a ring mold. These are pretty much just blue with glitter in them because, oh my gosh. I don't know how people put anything in there, in the mold. I have no idea how they do it. I'm gonna have to find a video. Because I just can't imagine. I had a hard enough time just getting the resin in there. And so far I'm liking the resin. It's interesting. I actually thought it was more complicated than what it is. It's not real complicated. Main issue is make sure you measure accurately, because I just threw away 4 pieces because they never set up, and according to online it means I did not measure accurately, which I really thought I did. So I'm going to check into getting a different measuring cup. Yeah, now I can't even get the silver bead on this line. This is why I need to get a different setup for the camera so you can see. I'm struggling. Okay, I got it on there. So this one was a little easier because the beads are bigger, but you know, there's still me trying to line it up and get it on there. And then the end, just drop that one. And then the end, that process is not the easiest for me to do. Because what you do is at the end, you slide a crimp bead onto it, and then you slide it through the clasp hole, and then you put it back through the crimp bead. And then you try to hold everything all nice and tight and still before you crush that crimp bead. Yeah, with my twitchy hands, that's not the easiest thing to do. I did get bigger crimp beads because the tiny ones I gave up. I just could not use them. They're just way too small. And they didn't work on some of the line either. You couldn't take some of the line back through them because they just weren't wide enough for that. Oh man. Actually seems as though when I try to face the camera for you to see it is when I'm lining it up better. I should just do that each time so I actually get it in there. Oh, I said that too soon. All right, I got it. Oh man, my ears are clogging up. That's not good. I also have to stop and think about the pattern because my brain's already in that fibro fog thing pretty good right now. The more tired I get, the worse it gets. And I will say the wrong words and not even know I did it. So if I say something strange on here, it's most likely I said a word different than I thought I did. As I think the word, hear myself say the word, but that's not what happened. It's so strange. It was really embarrassing when I did it at the doctor's. It got real confusing too. Then I finally figured out what they said I said, and I went, no, that's not what I meant to say. I just keep dropping this one. It's one of those super tiny ones. So my point is, if you just have patience and you don't get frustrated really fast and you are willing to start over when things go bad, it doesn't matter that your hands really aren't okay. I mean, check out this pinky. Let's see. That's all the more it closes. There's something wrong with it. I don't know what. Originally, I thought it was just a spasm. And then it hurt really bad for a while, and then it just stayed like that. With COVID and everything, I did not go get it checked. And I thought, what's the point? What are they going to do to it? I don't want surgery on it. So far, it hasn't really mattered much. My left hand. I can use both my hands for the majority of stuff. But as you see, well, let's see if I can do this left-handed. I haven't really ever tried. I can draw and paint left-handed. It's just slower and not as accurate and precise, but I can do it. I've done it. I can write with my left hand, same thing, it's just slower. I do a couple of things left-handed, so I can use both. Now you would think this would be easier this way, but it's not. I'm gonna switch back, just because this is what I did before. Well, it's weird. I would think that it would be easier to hold that tiny bead with the right hand, and it wasn't. It was easier to hold it in the left hand. And I forgot what I was doing again. Silver line. I gotta hope that they all actually fell into this thing and that I didn't lose any when I took them off of it. I cut it on top of here. Doesn't always mean I did it right the first time either, though. Could be that it's wrong. I think I have more of all of these beads, though, if we don't find one. I just have to go searching. But as you see, this isn't going very easy. I just dropped the bead again. I'm in trouble even picking it up or even figuring out how to line it up so that I can get it on here. I got it. So if you think, oh, I can't do this, try it. And then just figure out different things. Like I have figured out recently using this for some things when it comes to doing a knot. Then I pull the end through with this, and it's been helping. And like I said, I set up using this to put the beads in, and this tray underneath me for grabbing things. And I just try to set things up differently. It's probably not what most people would do. Wow, I cannot believe how my ears got all of a sudden. It's not good. Pressure's probably changing. It's getting colder out. We're in Florida. It's going to be 45 tomorrow morning. Not good. I will be staying inside and avoiding that at all costs. Even though I grew up north, been down here for 10 years, and I feel it now. Just like all the rest of the wimps here. Cannot take it. Where is it? Gonna have to figure out my Dremel tool, which I have, but I don't know if I've ever used it. I've got to get the drill bit in it and try to drill a hole. And drill a hole in this so that I can do this on a bracelet with a slip knot then. It came in a kit of stuff that I got for Christmas. And I'm gonna need to drill a hole in this one, but I was hand drilling in those and I was having no problem. That's my dog playing with the toy right underneath me. What do you got, Stitch? What do you got? Which toy is it? No, don't start an attack because then I'll have to stop and help you. He gets these reverse sneeze attacks really bad. And I have to help him. I have to rub underneath his neck and talk to him and calm him down. Okay, I am not seeing another silver one. I'm just gonna dump them out so I can see them better on this thing. So, I'm thinking that's not what the pattern was. Because I have way too many silver beads. I don't know. Now I'm really confused because I went and looked at the picture and this is what it looked like. But all of a sudden I have all these silver beads and no beads to go between them. I'm trying to think how it would have been differently. Well, I'm just going to end the video here, which sucks as I want to show you how to do the ends. And that's the hardest part. Kind of see on here. You can see the smashed crimp bead. Oh, come on, autofocus. It's not autofocusing. Okay. That's the crimp bead, which looks like... Is there one here? It looks like this. I'm going to have to put it in the tweezers. So, this one is a little bit of a long cylinder one. And you put that on the line. You put the whole of the clasp on the line. And then you make a loop and you come back down through that crimp bead. And then since you need, for the first one, it's not so important. So you can crimp it and not have to worry about the tension. But when you cut the line on the other hand and you're doing it, you want to build some tension so that it's all nice and tight. So that end is going to be harder to do because while you're trying to line everything up with that crimp bead, you're trying to keep some tension going as you're crushing that with the end of a pliers. Which last time I had to switch to these instead of the regular pliers so that I could get that tiny end in there better, which would have been on this one. I was having trouble getting the other pliers in there, but this one, as you could see, but I couldn't get these in there. Again, now that it's done, but anyway, I just wanted to start making videos to show people it is possible. Even your hands don't work. Look, I got all that done. Now, that to a regular person doesn't seem like much. Even a kid could probably do this like a lot faster than me. But there's no reason if your hands don't work so great and cramp up and don't act right that you can't try. Just set up so that when you drop things, it's going to get caught on something like this tray. And try to start adapting by, like, I found these tweezers recently to pick things up. Now, I have not been able to, like, I'm having trouble just picking up this bead. I've not been able to hold the bead steady enough in it and then fish the line through it because my hand moves too much and the bead comes out of the tweezers. It would be nice, but that's why I'm going to buy a needle for beading, because I wanted to make some of those really tiny flower beads into a ring with the stretchy stuff. And I went to start doing it and realized really fast I was gonna need one of those needles, and I don't have one. All my needles are thicker. Oh, and that's the other thing too. I discovered this recently, which I didn't even know these existed. You're trying to do something with thread and you can't thread your needle. Let's see if I can put this up here. I'm going to have to put my hand in the way to do it, but this goes through, and I dropped it. This goes through the needle. See? And then what you do is put your thread through here, and then you pull it back in, and it's on the needle then. I can't do any thread stuff without one of these. Cannot thread a needle. This one even has a nice big hole, and I wouldn't be able to do that without that thing. Come on, autofocus, try a little here. Anyway, I will try to make a couple other videos. I will probably buy a stand so you can see my working. But I just want to show that you can try. Thank you.